Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 54 of the Bonehead Podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. Welcome back, I'm Ben, and once again I'm joined by Blood Tithe Ben.
Hello.
How you doing, buddy? You okay?
Yeah, I'm doing really good. I had a week off, which was really good.
Yes.
Didn't do much hobby, but I did come back from the holiday feeling invigorated, inspired, crank some stuff out.
That is incredibly useful. That's probably the best. See, time away is remedy. We have also got Tombstone Tournament 2019 winner and friend of the show, Sam Frenzy Garner.
Oh yeah, how you doing?
Really good, thanks, Sam. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Like Ben, actually, I've had a week off. So I'm sort of reveling in my free time.
That's wicked. So it's actually, you guys have got some busy life stuff at the moment, haven't you? I mean, Sam's just moved house into his new mansion where there's a separate garage and 4 hobby rooms. I'm very jealous.
A bit of a stretch. She won't let me convert the shed into a hobby room yet, so I'm working on it.
I think you just need a 3D printer.
Everyone needs a 3D printer, Ben.
I think that's what Ben did. Ben was like, right, I bought the printer, set it up. The noise and smell then got him relegated to the garage, I think.
I think that was the caveat of buying it in the first place, was like, this cannot be in a house.
And yet we still managed to get a picture into the group chat last week of you with stirring the curry of an evening, making dinner with a pot of resin in one hand.
Yeah, you pick up some bad habits, which you sort of have to double take and think, wait, no, this is a terrible idea.
So I guess my question for you is, were you on holiday or were you just both in hospital? Because of your terrible cooking hygiene. It's ridiculous.
Flavor. Yeah.
Well, to add to that, we've got Sam, who's apparently Sweeney Todd. Who also, just as we were talking about the show notes, Ben was like, just having a quick shave, guys, I'll be back in a minute. And Sam's just like, check out my knife collection. which
it doesn't take batteries, so it never runs
that
out.
was it. Actually, to be fair, I had the same thing. I went for a beard trim and ended up, I have no idea where my charger is. I've just been making do since I moved house, and I ended up just buying another one for the same unit just for the charger because I could not find it. I was like, I just can't be bothered. Come on, Amazon, save me. Anyway, so we've said hello. We're all doing reasonably well. Ben, would you tell us what we're going to be chatting about today on episode 54?
Certainly. So today we're going to be having some roundtable thoughts on Blood Bowl 2020. Also, our first impressions, or more your guys' first impressions of the Black Orcs team and the usual games, hobby, and star players.
That's right. So we've had a good month or so of getting a few games of Blood Bowl 2020, seeing the reactions, listening to the reactions of the playtesters from the Warhammer website, which we'll talk about in a second when we go into the news segment. And thought it'd be a good idea to just talk through kind of how it's going, what we're thinking, what's good, what's bad, what we want to see coming for it. I know we did some wish listing last episode, but really just like what we're thinking about the meta and what we're hearing from people. And the second bit will be absolutely to have a bit of a medium deep dive into Black Orcs, because we've had a chance to get some games in. I've played with them, Sam's played against them, and again, getting some more feedback out there from the community and how the teams are doing. So without further ado, welcome to the show, and we will move on to news. Okay, so Blood Bowl news. First up, we've only got the one Kickstarter. It seems like everything else is kind of wrapping up and finishing, which is good for now because we're kind of on the eve of Blood Bowl 2020 landing. The Kickstarter we've got is the Conquistadores, football fantasy on Kickstarter by, it's by Hogs War. I don't know who it's by on Kickstarter. I'm not sure it actually says. It must be, by Tabletop Games. Oh no, it's just in Tabletop Games. I don't know. It's by Hogs War because we've seen this project before. We've seen this project before a couple of times, I think, or at least we've seen like previews of it. It is basically a mixture of teams. So there is a royalty team, there is a... What have we got? We've got a human team, an Old World Alliance team, and a nobility team. And you've got metal options and resin options. Price-wise, what are we looking at? Price €72 for a team, which is 66 English pounds. So human team's got an ogre, 4 blitzers, 2 throwers, 2 catchers, 2 halflings. I like that. They've adjusted to the new team build. I like that.
Yeah.
And 5 linemen, which is choose your 5 linemen from the 7 different models. Gets all stretch goals and gets a star player. The star player is pretty cool. The light allies or the Old World Alliance is about the same. You get 2 dwarf linemen, 1 blitzer, 1 runner, slayer. So they've built it all to work around the new teams, and you get, how many is that? 7, 8, 9, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 players per piece, and that is in metal or resin. Resin's a bit more expensive at €77. Estimated delivery of May 2021. But let's have a look and a talk through of the style of the team. So you can see that you guys have got the show notes there. They are the Conquistadors is bang on a name, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it couldn't be more correct.
Yeah. They've got the kind of Spanish conquistador helmets. They've got the big empire style ruffy feather, not feather bits, but puffy trousers and things like that.
The wide brim hats.
That's it. It's. I think the models are brilliantly sculpted. This is green stuff sculpting. This is old school.
Yeah, these are pretty damn good for hand sculpted. Like, very good.
I think so. So there's 7 different linemen. There's different blitzer models, different throwers, different catchers. I love that they've gone and done the dwarves and the halflings as well.
Yeah, I think the dwarves look great. I want to see a full team of these.
Oh, yeah. Actually, the dwarves do look really good. They've got a little slayer in there. The blitzers, runners. Let's see a full dwarf team in this style. Although I've still got the FANAF team here. I need to finish
another dwarf team.
/start. Yeah, too many dwarves.
You can never have too many dwarfs.
Yeah, I thought you might say that, Sam. They've got some cool star players. So they've got some guy with peacock feathers all over the back. I mean, it's a lovely painted model. There's a priest. I think this tree man is quite intriguing, though. At 10,500, there's this tree man that looks to be made of like bits of windmill mixed in with a tree.
He's phenomenal.
That's a sketch. There's no model yet, though. There's no sculpt yet.
There is not. No, you're right.
Seeing that though.
This is all stretch goals that will be coming. And the other star player that I find really interesting is the Rodolfo Pielgalina, which is one halfling riding on the back of another halfling who's wearing a chicken costume.
Is that supposed to be the halfling who rides a sheep? Is that right?
I think, I think that is probably supposed to be Rumbelow sheepskin.
That's the one.
It may even be Spanish for something like sheepskin, I don't know, or chicken. That's not chicken, is it? That's polo. Anyway.
Living for Adolfo.
Yeah. The value is a little bit cheaper, I think, than what we see from most Kickstarters. Isn't that about right?
Yeah, no, it's pretty bang on.
I mean, what was
obviously the average has been skewed a bit in the recent past, but it's
the Amazon teams were like
more than happy.
Amazon teams were like 80, I think. Was that the last one that we looked at last episode? Yeah, that was on the expensive. Anyway, £66, so £70 with postage probably. You get 16 players, including a big guy, and all the positionals you need for a human, human, imperial nobility, or Old World Alliance teams. Now, for £104, you get the whole flipping lot. So if you want 3 teams worth of stuff for £104, so you can tie them all together, you get an ogre, 4 blitzers, 2 throwers, 2 catchers, 7 linemen, 4 bodyguards, 1 blitzer, 1 runner, 1 slayer, 2 halflings, and 2 dwarf linemen. So if you want to go all in because you really like the style and you want enough pieces to make 4 teams plus any stretch goals, you can go all in on this.
That's pretty good value if you consider you get 3 teams like that.
I know. If you break it down and explain it to your significant other or however the finances work in your house and say, look, it's only £30 a team. Like, that's really great value. So they're saying got 5,500 against a target of 7,000. They've got 62 backers and 9 days to go. I think it feels like this is quite a quick Kickstarter.
say how long when it started?
This project will only be funded if it reaches its goal by Saturday, November the 7th. Yeah, I think it only went live the other day.
Yeah.
And it's quite a steep. Just looking through the updates, see if there was a launch thing. No, it's quite a steep goal. I think it's a reasonable goal at 7,000. I think with 9 days to go, they need $2,000, which is about another 25 backers, 30 backers.
Yeah, it might be quite a close one.
Maybe, yeah.
It tends to be the reverse of eBay, doesn't it? Where everything comes right
sniping
at the beginning. And it's very, very rare to have stuff near the end of Kickstarters. But I hope they do make it, because this is a really nice team.
We kind of saw that with the Norba Kickstarter. They were worried at the end because they said people just boost it up and then sack it off. Like it gets close to pay, get close to pay time, and they're like, actually, I'll drop it down. I got excited and put 100 in, and then I drop it down to 50. Fortunately, that made 64,000 euros, so we're all getting free ogres, which is wicked. I'm very happy with that. The Norba Kickstarter was an absolute bomb. So, Sam, what do you reckon to the Conquistador Kickstarter?
I quite like it. Full disclosure, I've never backed a Kickstarter before, ever.
None at all.
Never, no, not for anything, not for a video game or anything, but minis especially. I don't really understand how it works. I get that sort of as a crowd, everyone pledges an amount, and then if it reaches that threshold, you pay, and it gets made and sent to you. Is that right? That's the premise.
Pretty much.
I'm not sure. It always seems quite expensive to me, but for what you get, it's not too bad on this. The sculpts are brilliant as well. They are. Yeah,
the sculpts are really good. Kickstarters are weird. Like, it's a really weird concept, and I think the value incentive feels really good and really bad at the same time. I mean, the Fanath team was fantastic. You know, Death Roller and what was it, Ben? Like another 14 dwarves?
Death Roller, the minis
dwarves?
plus 2-star players, and it was like 50 quid.
It was about 50 quid. Like, that is absolutely lush. But you have to pay, and then you have to wait 6 months or whatever to get it.
Yeah. I think I'd probably I'd have lost my enthusiasm for it if I had to wait that long. Maybe.
I thought the same. And then I've backed a few. And basically, every time you back a project, you're creating a new Christmas. And you have this date, which is just like, you can't. Every time there's an update on the Kickstarter that you've backed, they post a little update, and you're 1 month closer.
That is really cool.
Like, oh, it's coming out, and they'll post some pictures of production, and you're just like, oh, it's near. And then you just sit on the edge of your seat, and then it says it's shipped, and then you have to, they usually come from another country. You have to wait an undisclosed period of time, and it could be at your door any day now.
And then hope you don't have to pay tax. Well, you had this with Fanath, didn't you, Ben? You kind of forgot, and then the Fanath dwarf team just rocked up.
They just showed up. Yeah.
And it went straight on the pile.
Yeah, straight on the pile, and still only finished a couple of them.
Joke with a guy at club last night who was saying about, you back these games and everything. I was like, why don't we just create like a saving scheme for hobbyists that's just a bank account with negative interest? Like you give us £100 and then you can have £75 back, and that's that's kind of how hobby works. But yeah, having to wait months is tough for Kickstarters, but generally when you back them at like 20% off retail.
And so it's early bird deals and stuff like that. You do get good deals with them.
I mean, if I didn't have a human team, I'd be sorely tempted by these guys. So some of the shops are really cool. It's kind of like, so when a lot of these Kickstarters go out, they're sort of a one-time deal, aren't they? So I couldn't then go online and find it next year and grab it. It's kind of one and done normally. Is that right?
I think it's 50-50. I think there's a lot of individual ones that just go boom, but a lot of the other ones just use it to expand their range. So the Fanath one, you can now just go and buy the dwarves. I recommend that you do, to be fair. They're pretty wicked.
Don't you tempt me.
Well, I mean,
I think it's often dependent on the size, because I think that the concept of the Kickstarter, especially in this context of miniatures, is the idea is you know exactly how much demand there is, and you make enough to fulfill all the orders you have, and then you don't need to keep any stock. There's no more overheads until they know exactly their profits and stuff.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's kind of been taken over a little bit by companies, which is no bad thing. It's just a different way of operating, where now it's more like a pre-order almost.
Yeah.
Where it covers some of the costs, and we see it in the whole. If you're expanding to the board game side,
hey, you leave Mantic alone.
With like, there's been controversies with large companies basically using it as a pre-order, which they do have stock. They always keep stock. They fulfill orders all year round, but it's like they prey on the FOMO of Kickstarter, where you can have so many orders up front and offer just a few extras.
Well, you say this. Mantic have historically done loads of Kickstarters for their games. This time round, they're releasing their naval warfare game, and they haven't done a Kickstarter. And because they haven't done it on Kickstarter, I didn't bother pre-ordering. Like it's really it's really good. It's gone straight to retail. It's really quite funny because I'm like, well, I'll just pick it up later on, you know. But if they'd put it as a Kickstarter, I probably would have gone, oh my goodness, I need to back this now. I need to get in on this.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be wicked. It's really funny you say that because I think you're bang on, actually. And
it puts like the time pressure on, and especially when they have things which are like early bird stuff, where it's like, back in the first 48 hours, you get this. I don't want to miss out.
Yeah, I don't want to miss
exactly.
out. And then, I don't know. It is always nice to feel part of something as well.
It is.
And
I've got a board game that I've spent ludicrous amount of money on like 2 years ago, and I'm still getting updates, and it's due to come in February. So it's like,
wow.
Yeah. Board games on Kickstarters are pretty. I think they're the riskiest of all.
Definitely.
Because I'm happy to drop 80 quid on a board game, whatever. I think I'm going to play it. I've got 2 copies of Pandemic Legacy Season 1, and I've got to April and May in both of those copies. And, you know, quite frankly, that's like 6 game sessions. That's like 6, 7, 8 hours. Like, pound for pound, that's absolutely fine. But when you back a Kickstarter that takes building and everything, I think this is why the Necromunda box sets haven't grabbed me in recently, is because the price is huge, the setup time is huge, and the play time is infrequent. However, talking of big box sets, we had a bit more. Well, we had a reveal, a Warhammer preview for Blood Bowl that previewed. Well, I would say nothing, but Ben did actually correct me on this. So I was like, hey, we had this preview where we saw all of the stuff we'd already seen, but no, there were 2 referees in the box set. They were the little blue models. So when we saw the spoiled box set contents, there were 2 little coloured miniatures on the side. One was blue, I think one was red. I don't know if I'm making that up. Maybe they were both blue. I don't know. And we were like, what is this? What is this? Is it a wizard? Is it a coach? Actually, it's 2 referee miniatures. We've got a bold dwarf with a massive book of grudges on his back, which I thought you'd like, Sam.
Yeah, that was right on my street. Yeah.
And we got an elf in pajamas with what looks like an old world iPhone taking a selfie, which I absolutely love. I know it's really giving a red card, but it just kind of looks that way. It was cool. It was cool to see the spoilers for that.
You predicted high elf, and he technically is a high elf.
Yeah, he's definitely got the high elf wings there. There's a big old feather. It's tough. Like I think we talked about it at length, Ben. We would have been a bit stressed if they were announcing the next team before Necromantic or the box set was out. But actually, we got a tentative release date of November, which is a little bit sooner than I thought. I thought December 14th was kind of my timeline. So it's going to end up...
Throwing off your schedule a bit.
Yeah. Well, where are we now? We are recording this on Wednesday the 28th. So the earliest it's going to go on pre-order is the 8th of November now, because they might this Sunday say, hey, it's coming out for pre-order next week, which will be the 8th of November. It goes on pre-order, 2-week pre-order, so lands on the 22nd of November. 21st of November is the earliest it's going to be out now.
Okay.
So that's not too bad. That's not too bad. That means we've got a couple of weeks before we get our preview copy. So that's pretty sweet. I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, saw the referees. The referees don't actually have any rules. So what do you guys make of that?
It's odd.
Yeah.
It's odd to put them in the starter box.
Isn't it just? So, you know, we segued into this because we were talking about big box sets with a whole bunch of stuff. This is a huge box set with a star player for both teams, with a big guy for both teams. So the Imperial Nobility team comes with an Ogre and Griff, and the Black Orc team comes with Varag Gulchua and a Troll. Okay, so that's a sizable amount of Blood Bowl stuff, and they've got these referees and things. So it's not going to be a cheap box.
No, I was worried about that.
Yeah, I mean,
We've seen recent boxes. The new Warcry box, I think, was £125.
Yeah.
I think it's probably going to be in that region. It's got a similar amount of plastic in.
If its RRP is 100, I think I'll be happy. Because
I don't think it's going to be that cheap, Ben.
I think, but no, but if the Warcry was 120, I wonder if there's an element of economy of scale there. I think, because what is it? I saw this on Twitter or something, that the original Blood Bowl, the last box, was kind of sold not at a loss, but just with a really low margin, because they were like, we'll just hoon through 20,000 of these and just create Blood Bowl again. If they do,
isn't that the point of a starter set?
Yeah,
for anything, is you make a lot less money on it to get the players.
Yeah, I don't think that Warcry one was that. I think they priced that. I think they priced that up because they knew people would want the models.
Yeah,
which is
it's an
worrying.
Interesting economy that Games Workshop has.
Oh, yeah, they made their own rules. I mean, the difficulty with this box set is people are going to want it because they want the models. And I mean, what do you guys think is the earliest date we'll see a separate Black Orc team?
New Year.
It might be
2022.
I was holding out a lot of hope we'd see Necromantic like next weekend.
Oh, that would have been so
Halloween,
good.
But they've got to be in the pipeline. They've got to be coming out surely before the two box teams do.
Individually, yeah, I think I would be surprised if they dropped a Black Orc box at the same time as Blood Bowl 2020. I think they'll lean on buy the box set if you want a Black Orc team, buy the box set if you want an Imperial Nobility team, and then in a year's time, I mean, look at the start collecting sets for AOS or the Arc Regent, the kind of heroes for their starter sets for some of the other games. It's like 6 to 9 months before you can get them individually.
Yeah.
That would be bad. I would love it if they did just release the team sets on their own, and I wonder if they will, because I think the nobility guys might need extra positionals to max out the team.
Yeah, I really hope so for that reason. I think they'll keep the stars maybe for a while.
Yeah, well, that's fine. They can keep the stars. Varag is wicked, and I know that there's a whole bunch of 40k players out there with spare guns and glue just waiting. But Griff, Griff is a lovely model. I mean, hashtag not my Griff, because my Griff punches things. He doesn't have a strange bird addiction, so it's just weird. I like his medallion falcon. I just wish it had a special rule. Like, if you're gonna have a falcon, like, let him catch things one square away. Let him have a rule or a purpose. Yeah, really, really, really strange. Anyway, the referee models are cool.
Going on from that box as well, what's your guys' opinion on having the star players in a starter set with two teams of that kind of equal each other?
I quite like it. So growing up, we never had a league, so we never used star players. I think still to this day, I don't think I've ever used a star player on tabletop.
Oh, but you're a goblin coach. Oh no, you're a new goblin coach. Yeah. And where star players are gone. So yeah.
I think if you buy this box, say you're a totally new player to the game, you buy the box with your cousin, brother, or whoever, you split the teams, and then they're going to be roughly the same TV, even with the big guys, and you go, we can just use the star players as well. I think it's going to be good.
You know what? I think it's really good that we got Sam here to point that out, actually, because I kind of like, like teams are individual for people who already play, but actually, I think if you look at this like a Christmas present for a family, or we'll go halves of the box, we'll get this new game, we'll get this in. You've got big guys, you've got teams that can just be teams anyway, and you've got stars, so you can just ramp your teams up to, I don't know, that's going to be in the 1400s with a star player and everything, and you can have a really complete game. I like that. I think it's unnecessary for kind of like the seasoned vets, but maybe Ben's right in that actually starter sets there to get people started. So maybe that just makes sense. I mean, Ben, what do you think of having the stars in there? Or has Sam convinced you now?
Sam's actually convinced me. I was on the other fence, but then that's a really good point. I thought initially it was a little bit odd because yeah, like you don't get stars until a high TV, but then like you say, well, this just lets you play at a high TV anyway. So yeah, yeah, no, maybe that's pretty good. I mean, to be fair, I like it because you get more from your box, and
you get a
GW
lot of
plastic
stuff.
characters tend to be quite expensive, so buying them in a big set is usually a good way to get them. So if they were going to release these anyway, I'd rather be in a bundle than separately.
Even if this is 120 quid like the Warcry one, if two of you split it, 60 quid each.
Yeah, 25% off. Yeah,
you get a team, a big guy, and a star. It's not bad going.
I mean, the troll, ogre, 15 quid, team, 25 quid, that's 40 quid. Like Ben says, £20 for a star is fine is Forge World money, but Games Workshop plastic characters is £25 to £30. So, and then one of you gets a pitch. So yeah. I think when you put it like that, Sam, actually splitting it I like it. I like it. But hey, we don't know yet. It could land at £80 and it could be ridiculous, and we could have Indomitus again.
I'm buying 5.
Yeah. When was Indomitus? Was it this year or was it last year?
No, it was this year.
Oh, 2020. What is wrong with you?
Carnage, wasn't it? That was carnage.
I am a little bit worried we're going to run out of this box set, I just think
that'll be a nice problem to have, because that means a hell of a lot of Blood Bowl interest.
What a horrible thing to say, Ben. We need more Black Orc teams out there. And the big pants boys. They're feather guys. They're good too. The feather fluffers.
I'm sensing, I was going to say, I'm sensing not a lot of anticipation for the noble team there.
No, definitely, I love them. I can't get over them.
Ben loves them. I am mad for this Black Orc team, which is weird because it is not my playstyle. I think the nobility going to be really interesting to pilot, like really interesting to explore. Just going through their tournament rosters, going through their league rosters. It's like this team is different. It's worse than Bretonnian, and it's much worse than human. But the Black Orc roster, technically much worse than Orcs, but still good fun, and it still plays like its own thing. And I think that new nobility roster is going to be a bit. It's going to be a bit blue player. It's going to be a bit blue magic with fend and wrestle and stand firm. I don't know.
They've got 2 real control teams in that box, haven't they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Love a bit of grab when you remember it. Cool. So we did see that. There were no other spoilers, which I think is absolutely fine. I guess the only thing worth noting is that Spike 11, so they're continuing that run of spikes with Necromantic, is going to be out after or around Blood Bowl 2020, and it's going to be for 2020 rules. And there are going to be star players in there that we don't have access to at the moment in the core rulebook.
What are we thinking?
I think there's Frankenstein kind of on the front cover, and there is a werewolf star player, which I'm assuming is Wilhelm, or whatever the Wilhelm analog is going to be, which means I'm going to have to redo the Undead tournament rosters, I think. Which is cool, because let's face it, the Undead got a bad selection of stars in 2020. Gretchen just...
you really don't like Gretchen, do you?
I do. It's such a cool idea. She's just overcosted by at least 100k. Like, look what you get for Glorial for 150. You get this like Edge 2+ passing goddess, and then you're like, okay, but for 110,000 more, you get someone with no hands. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that'd be great. For the price of 2.5 mummies, you get nothing. Disappointing.
Is she the Banshee? The sort
of
very long legs.
Blood Bowl Widow.
Yeah. It's got the does nothing special rule. It's really tough gig. However, Scroll the dwarf. I was filming the star player episode, and I got halfway through the video when I was like, Undead have been literally shortchanged again with a tiny little dwarf who's dead, and it's got pick up on a 4+. Yeah, right. It's got short hands, but lol, Kemri. And then halfway through the video, I just got myself really excited because once per game, he can do a pass action, and then you can just be like, go on then, and add its strength. Just add 3 to the roll. So you roll the dice, and you're like, no, I want that to be a 7, please. So just once per game, he's just going to bomb that ball down the pitch.
Yeah,
so
right.
Amazing.
It's so cool. So if
Such an enabler.
you want to play Undead or Necromantic at a tournament and you don't want to be a tryhard, You just take Skrull and be like, yeah, we're going to have a great game. At one point, I'm going to destroy you with a ridiculous throw game for Skrull, and I don't really care what else happens then. I'm sold on Skrull, but I think that's it. I mean, obviously, Grack and Crumbleberry, but I don't know. Seeing Wilhelm Chaney will be sweet, and Frankenstein, who I'm assuming is going to be able to play for humans because he used to as well. More mid-range stars.
Got that keyword now, so he's going to be playing for more than just humans, right? If he has the Old World Classic? Keyword,
Old World Classic would be.
That's going to open him up to everyone.
Yes,
loads of people.
That would be absolutely sweet. I really am enjoying that. I don't know if it's going to be good for tournaments, but I am enjoying the fact that stars can play on very different teams, and you know, you got Grim Ironjaw playing for dwarves and the White Dwarf just playing for the halflings and stuff. Just give it a halfling mighty blow each turn. Like, it's wicked. It's really cool. It's cool to see the builds. My current favourite build, which is why I'm painting up Glorial Summerbloom, is Dark Glorial. Glorial and Dark Elves at 1200. You get
pretty good.
You get a pretty decent Dark Elf team, and the best thrower, I think, star player outside of the one half of the Swift Twins, which it's really, I like that. I like the prospect.
It really feels the Dark Elf weakness. So.
It's cool. I like these star players that are 150k. Anyway, Blood Bowl news. We did that. We did the Jobby What's It. Oh, we got one more thing to talk about, gentlemen, which was the thoughts from the play testers. So, Games Workshop dropped a thing out saying, hey, the latest edition of Blood Bowl approaches on the 20th of October. And it is basically a 2-minute video of 3... See if their names are on there. No, Johnny Bull and 2 other dudes. 3 playtesters talking about what they like about the game as it's changed. I assume they've dropped this in response to so many community posts on the horrific Facebook that says, you know, I'm not looking forward to this edition because you moved my cheese. I don't know. So you guys watched the video. What do you think? What's your take on this?
I think it's cool that they've done it and they're reaching out to people who genuinely play. I think it's cool to make a video like that. I honestly do. Yeah, I don't really have anything like much. Try hard as I might, I can't really say too much negative about it. I thought they were pretty cool opinions to listen to. I
don't think there's a lot of negative stuff on there. There's a lot of people who said, well, they're going to choose the people who say the good things to put on a video for an advert.
Obviously, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but aren't they just highlighting some of the things that people enjoy? I don't think it's them adjusting. Like, yes, they may not be saying, I don't like this part of the game, but you don't need to like all parts of the game. You just need to like some parts. And they're highlighting changes that they actually like. Because, you know, if they didn't like it, I am assuming they wouldn't feature in the video. So at least 3 people like some stuff. I love it, personally. So there was that, which was interesting to see, and a bit of a random thing. I don't think I've ever seen this. It is really good that they have used playtesters who are regular players to the game, you know, around and about. That's really good to see. Sam, you picked up on something though, didn't you, from watching the video?
Yes, one of the playtesters mentions star player points for fouling and crowd surfing, which we've not seen in the rules yet.
Well, this is the big kind of conspiracy now that Sam's yeah, this is where we thought this would be juicy to chat about. That isn't in the rulebook that we've seen. That isn't in the leaked rulebook. There is nothing about fouling giving SPP. I went and checked the SPP section. It's like casualties. This is for this. This is for this. Nothing about fouls. Nothing about crowd surfs. If there was, I'd be very happy because one of my Black Orc goblins surfed a war dancer yesterday and murder death killed him, which was pretty happy. Pretty happy times. Like, that's worth a casualty. I mean, that kind of got me a little bit worried that, is this a plant? Is this the beta? Are we going to see a different version land? Are we going to have to do more videos?
That would be such a galaxy brain move from Games Workshop to be like, outrage the community to beta test our game. You know, just
well, no,
let's test our game through anger and conspiracy.
let's tone the 5G towers down a little bit. Yeah. It is possible that what they leaked could have been an early edition of a print thing.
I think fair play if so.
I think it's probably the other way around. I think the playtesters probably had access to an earlier edition that we haven't seen, and the rules they're mentioning have probably been scrubbed since.
I think Sam is probably more like. I think Sam's probably more likely here.
But that's not gonna, that's not ramping up the hype train. So GW have done the bait and switch here, right? We're going to see a totally different rulebook drop.
There you go. Well, they did mention passing, so at least that's in the game. The passing stat. So at least that's in the game.
I do like that theory, and I'm actually really on board with that, where, the leaked version is an early version. The only thing that sort of turns me off of it is that was like, the leak we saw was like a printed book, and would they have gone through the whole effort to print a book that isn't the final version?
And then go and tweak some rules in it.
Yeah, and have to print again. They're sure they would be going off like PDFs or something.
You would imagine so. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how printing works at Games Workshop.
No, me neither.
When we printed N-Gage, we got test prints of early versions to get the page layout and the colours and stuff like that, and then we adjusted that for the final version and got a final proof before we got the what was it, 100 books printed in a go. But I feel like Games Workshop, who have been doing this for longer than most new Blood Bowl players have been alive, probably don't need to bother. So yeah, interesting one. Sam, that was a heck of a spot. Quite frankly, if they want to change that bit and give SPPs to casualties and crowd surfs, I'm well on board. And I would say give it for chainsaws too. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's go all in.
Does Stab give SPP?
It should now.
Yeah.
Definitely. That would be wicked. Because SPP...
everything gives SPP. Everything.
It's just like, the participation.
You do a thing, you get experience from it.
Yeah.
We count yards. Do we do that? Running yards for SPP?
Oh man, that's I'm on board with that.
One SPP for every 100 squares you have.
I've got a spreadsheet for this.
Tally.
But SPP is about renown, isn't it?
Yeah.
So landing a star player, you get renown for doing something cool. Stabbing a dude and murdering him. I feel like the Blood Bowl fans are going to be like, hey, you like this guy? Yeah, exactly.
You're going to be known as the guy who stabbed the dude in the face.
Yeah.
Killed him.
And
I was allowed because
it's Blood Bowl.
Fine.
Yeah, I like it. I don't know. I don't think we're going to see a different version land in 3 weeks' time.
No. I think the playtesters probably had a PDF earlier version that's since been tweaked, and the printed rulebook we saw is probably the real one.
But it's got to be in there because it wouldn't be in the video.
And that's it. That's the thing. Why is it in the video? Or is it just this is the crazy thing? Is like, is the leak wrong? Is Games Workshop editing just Games Workshop's editing? Like, oh gosh, if Facebook is right, I'm going to be very sad.
I love it. I love the conspiracy so much.
Let's get David Icke on the phone, see what's really going on. Right, I think that probably wraps up for Blood Bowl news. Let's take a very quick break, and we'll be back with some hobby and games and whatnot. And we're back, and it's hobby, games, buying, building, and whatnot. So let's start with Sammy G, Mr. Garner. What have you been hobbying? Doesn't have to be Blood Bowl.
I have actually been enabled quite hard, and got into Lord of the Rings, or was a Middle-earth strategy battle game. I think Ben, did you buy the Pelennor Fields and split it with Ian?
Yeah, that's right.
And then pictures floating back and forward on the group chat. And then I had a look at the rulebook and I was like, oh, they do dwarfs. So I went ahead and picked up a box of dwarfs and a couple of heroes. And yeah, I took a lot of time on these guys. Like the bases, I took a lot of care on the bases compared to what I normally do.
They look really good, man.
Really nice.
All it was just Milliput, and Sophie quite graciously lent me her what do you call it? The things you use to sort of dice vegetables and stuff.
Oh, dicer. Yeah.
There's about 4 or 5 different shapes and sizes, and that's what I use to press the Milliput to get the crabs.
It works really well because you get really even lines. It's brilliant.
I mean, looking at them now, the one that I did by hand is, I think I prefer it. It looks more sort of, well, natural, handmade kind of thing. But then rigid, straight, angular stones, it's a dwarf thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the press worked quite well.
Yeah,
mass produce them,
Yeah, exactly. You really smashed them out as well. It's been great seeing the progress updates.
Cheers. Well, I took ages on the first one, just sort of working out exactly what I wanted, and then sort of doing one colour, and it's done like that, changing it. But now I'm sort of in full swing.
Brilliant.
No, that is really cool. And of course, you've got your goblins on the go as well, which I got to play against the other week.
Yep. I've not touched them yet. So there's only really room on my hobby desk for one thing at a time, and I've got no actual storage for the dwarfs yet, so they can't go into storage to get the goblins out.
So tell me Milton hasn't already tried convincing you to get a whole bunch of magnets and things.
Oh yeah, that's what I did for my Age of Sigmar one. I've got 1,500 points of orcs. Oh, sorry, bone splitters in a magnetized sort of case box thing.
Quite funny. So recently, Duncan released a video about his magnetized storage. I've had a few friends and some other group chats been just like, "Oh, have you checked out this video? It's an awesome storage." And I was like, "Damn, my friend Milton's been doing this since before you were born."
Milton's been selling other people on Green Stuff's World metal sheets for ages. I've got a bunch of them for that reason. Although I use them for team trays actually.
Yeah,
which work really cool.
The only thing I don't like it for is mainly Blood Bowl. 2 models with magnets under the bases. If you lay them down because they've been knocked down or stunned, they just snap together. It's a force. And I don't know about any of the models in particular, but the undead white, where the contact point is that tiny vertebrae.
Oh yeah.
When the models snap together with some force like that, he just breaks in half.
Yeah, that. To be fair, the undead team, several of those models are literally held together by wishes. So that's asking for it. I hadn't even considered that. I'm thinking magnetizing Blood Bowl miniatures is brilliant because if you use a poker chip for ball like the Bonehead tokens we've got, it's wicked. Just snaps to it and you're having a great time. But I hadn't considered. Maybe you're just playing wrong.
Maybe, clearly I am because all my players end up on the floor. And that's
what about you, Blood Scythe?
Yeah, I've done quite a lot. So I had my week off. Didn't do too much in that, but yeah, when I got back, I started paying out some Warcry, which you mentioned on the Wednesday show.
Did that was on Whip Wednesday? I think I've got that towards the end of the video. Oh yeah, you did.
I've got one here, but I mean the lighting's rubbish here.
The really lovely bits of freehand.
Yeah, well, it's only minor freehand, but yeah, it's. They're really fun. It was just something. It was a project that's kind of when I was away, I did a lot of magazine reading and caught up on some White Dwarfs, and one of them, which I think was last month's of recording, well, not this month's, the last one, had a warband in for Hammerhal, and you can have your Free Guild guys, your is it Ironbeard Dwarfs or something, and the Dark Elves and Rangers and stuff from the Wood Elves. There's all that Cities of Sigmar mix, basically. And yeah, I just thought, well, kind of had some files saved to do some Free Guild stuff based on, the Nippon or Cathay side, the Eastern Kingdoms. And I thought, well, this is a really good chance to do it. It's Warcry, and the band works out, the models line up exactly to how they are in the book. So, yeah, it's a really fun little project. So 3 down, most of them really, I'll probably finish it maybe a couple of weeks' time. It'll be good fun to play some Warcry, because along with
all the other games,
Middle-earth, Blood Bowl, Underworlds, all these games that we're discussing to do on club nights. And
this is also a really big way to stick it to the whole killing the Warhammer world. Ben's like, right, Games Workshop, you've killed Warhammer Old World, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to print models based on a faction that was never released that you've now killed, and I'm going to use it in your new game.
You're semi talked about but not official technically, and I've printed. Yeah, you're right.
That's the soy latte of armies. I think it's fantastic.
Hey, AOS is vast. They made a point of being that anything exists in AOS, so these exist in AOS.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I'm just really impressed with the bits of painting. I think it's a cool looking. I want to say team. I always want to say team.
I think it's more of a warband in this, isn't it? They're still a team. They're a team. They work together.
They have coaching sessions. They talk about their feelings.
Yeah, I've also on the printing side, You know, we've been talking a lot about them.
Oh yeah.
Literally today, just before recording, got my Grack and Crumbleberry ready to go.
They look really cool.
Yeah. This one is from the Kraken Fantasy Stadiums, which we've talked about a lot. They had he's a referee, I think, but he has nothing really to symbolize a referee on him. And that was just something I knocked up on Hero Forge, which is good fun.
Hero Forge is really cool. I played the other day with some chainsaws on there.
Yeah.
That's like, there's someone, I can't remember, one of the guys who mentioned on the videos, commented and says, like, I make my star players in Hero Forge. And I'm like, that's genius.
Yeah, when you can print them, like they're pretty pricey per mini, like considering that was like $8. But like, you know, I can get a bunch of them, and if people want some, I can give them out, and then there's a lot of people gonna have them.
$8 is a lot less than the $30 it would have cost to have them print you one.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
all right, there's running costs, and the 200 and something pounds it costs to get the printer in the first place, but still, like you said, unlimited crumbleberries.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
if you go by
of them.
if you go by the list spam I've been doing, that you need some Grack and Crumbleberries. Although the Dark Elf team list came out today, and I've had loads of people say, "There's no Grack in this. There's no Grack." No, there isn't really a great Grack and Crumbleberry Dark Elf list.
When you've got Gloriel
at 1200, like 1250, 1300, yeah, you can fit Grack and Crumbleberry in there. But at that point, you might as well take Roxana, or like you say, there's the Dark Gloriel build, or Gloriel and Willow. At that point, get some cheeky Strength 4 sidestep in there. There's some good stuff. Actually, you could probably get the Swiftins as well. That's the problem with the big values, and you get so much. That's wicked. No, there's some great hobby going on there. So yeah, we've got Whip Wednesday out now. So every Wednesday we just put a little video out of what I've been working on hobby wise, what the guys in our little group have been working on, and submissions from you guys. So if you want to share with us what you've been working on, drop us an email, theboneheadpodcast@gmail.com or ben@boneheadpodcast.com, and with some Whip pictures, tell us what you're working on, and we'll see if we can't sneak it into the video, because it's just fun to do. It's just fun to see what everyone's working on. We saw a Mortarian this week, which I thought was pretty awesome. From Zephyr, just like snuck it in there. It's like, hey, working on some undead, and by the way, here's Mortarian converted with extra guns. I was like, Zeph. He's done some great knight stuff as well. Some Chaos Knights. He's like converted gun faces and stuff. It's really cool. And of course, everybody's loving watching Ian's giant progress, which has inspired me to finish off my oh gosh, what's the new big troll giant called?
Oh, the Dankhold.
The Trog boss. So for the Snotling team, this is my hobby. I got some mushrooms from Reaper Black and a wizard model, which I just couldn't resist. So I got 3 mushrooms to represent my team markers, and I've got my went to storage and started digging out stuff. So I got my Trog boss done, and I realised that his ear was missing, and then when we were talking in the news segment, I was inspired to open the box of the Fanath dwarves, and lo and behold, it's his ear. I'm like so excited. Really? Yes. So those of you watching on YouTube will see me in the middle of the news segment just like light up with pure glee that I've randomly found his ear. And the only reason I did that is because we were talking about Fanath. I would have had to buy another Trog boss just for an ear. So I just saved £40. So yeah, that was good work. And now he's got an ear, which means I can now paint this miniature for my Snotlings, because Snotlings need a giant just in case giants come back in 2020.
They'll come back.
Oh, I do hope so. And games wise, Sam and I got a game in, but I think we'll save that till Black Orc time, Sam, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine by me.
That's wicked. Any upcoming projects, guys? Anything buying, or are we all just getting very excited waiting for 2020 to land?
Again, I'm really excited for 2020. There's all the teams coming out. I'm really hyped to paint, even though I had a game yesterday with my Quorn team to give them a send-off. And I was thinking, I really need to paint up a team, like finish one, because I don't have any teams painted that are valid for 2020. So.
Dude, going to film the 11s games for the YouTube channel, I was talking with Ian, and I was like, my only 11s teams are like wacky, ridiculous teams.
Yeah.
All my Skaven. So I had to use like his teams, because I've got like I've got a billion sevens teams, no problem at all, and now I've got the Snotlings. Yeah, but other than that, it's like my Tzeentch 15th horror Lizardman team, and it's like the Carvelings and the mixed undead Khemri team. I'm like, this is all garbage for YouTube. This just needs to be normal Muggle teams. So I need to get my act together and finish those 11 so we can shoot some more stuff.
Yeah. Looking forward to painting up the nobility, because I think I'm going to probably run them in the new league.
Oh, that's very exciting. I'm really interested to see how they play, and the team looks lovely. I just, there's something about these Black Orcs, I don't know what it is. It is a subpar team, and it just, I don't know, it's just, I like the challenge there. I think it's really cool. Right, shall we move on to our little roundtable discussion about Blood Bowl 2020? Okay, so all we're really going to do is just talk through some of the stuff we found out about Blood Bowl 2020 through playing games, through watching other people rage about the changes to the rules, and really just look at what we think are good, the good, bad, and ugly kind of Blood Bowl 2020. So I've got many games in now. Sam's got 1 or 2 games in?
I want to say 2, but I can't remember what the other one was.
And Ben has somehow... Now, Ben is going to be the representative of the holdouts, I think, here. He's got Blood Bowl...
I can speculate uninformedly.
He's got CRP tattooed on his arm. LRB for life over there. It's like, keep me my corn teams. So I've played a few games. We've got a couple on YouTube, played a couple at the club. I think I played a couple specifically with Black Orcs to try them out. Got a couple of games in with the Skaven now. I even played Dwarves and had a remarkably good time playing Dwarves, actually. I was impressed with that. So let's open up with the biggest question that I think everyone has. So if you haven't had a chance to play Blood Bowl 2020 yet, the question you are asking yourself is probably just how different is it? And I'm going to put it straight to Sam here. Sam, you've had 1 or so games of Blood Bowl 2020. And I think that may answer that question, is that how different did you find it? Or at least,
So, the only trouble with this is I was using goblins, which I never used in the 2016 rules. So for me, there wasn't a great deal of difference. I don't think we ever got to use the jump over a downed player kind of thing.
We saw a jump over touchdown yesterday at club, which was wicked. All of a sudden, they're just shouting in the corner because an Orc Blitzer jumped over a downed Saurus and ran in for the touchdown, which is pretty wicked. I like that. So other than that, Sam, you didn't feel it was massively different?
Well, I didn't do any passing, and passing seems to be the biggest change.
Did you use the projectile vomit on the troll?
No, I never did, actually, and I was quite excited to use it at first, and then I read what it did, and it's kind of like stab, but with a chance to backfire.
It's like a bad chainsaw. Is also
yeah, exactly. It's a chainsaw with no modifier.
It was also tough because you're playing against the Black Orc team, and the guys who are based with your troll were armor 10 plus.
Exactly. I was saying to myself, if I was in touch with one of your goblins, yeah, go for it, because there's a fair chance of knocking them out. But
that's difficult because at that point you might as well just take the 3 dice block.
Yeah.
Against the normal player, yes, but I think players with dodge and block, because trolls don't have tackle or block themselves.
There's going to be so many war dancers just covered in troll vomit.
Exactly, yeah, because those players have got ways of avoiding the 1 in 6 smackdown. So you just troll vomit on them instead, especially like war dancers. What they AV 8+ these days?
Yep, 8+. So it's it's not bad. And like you said, actually, if you're hitting someone who's a blodger, and I think we will see a lot of blodgers in this edition because I think that's the new stat up. I think it's just a lot easier to save 12 SPP and get dodge regardless of who you are, where you come from, than it is to just hope you get that extra double. I think it's just easier. I think humans we're gonna see a load of dodge blitzers because it really does not take a lot to get most human blitzers to 12 SPP.
Yeah, exactly. we'll see. I think we'll see fewer stat ups in general as well.
Massively. I do think dancers, we talked about this on one of the podcasts before, that war dancers, every role on that list is good for them. I think, their movement can go up to 9. Agility is useful, and I think and strength. So whatever they roll, they will get better. So, and it does not take long to save up 18 SPP on a war dancer. I think that's just going to be. I think those guys are actually going to get stronger in this edition.
Yeah. Because I know it's off topic, but war dancers, would you take the movement from movement 9, or would you take the armor to make them harder to kill?
Never take armor.
I would always never take armor, but if you've got a player that's that good,
I think with armor, that's not an unfair shout, to be fair. There's a sentence for you. But yeah, I think once you're down the line, if you've got a real pro war dancer or a pro gutter runner or something taking armor once they are already Edge 1+ or something, then yeah, actually keeping them on the pitch is going to benefit you massively. But for a first one, just getting that 9 movement is just gonna farm more SPP, because it's just going to be safer for them, because they're only going to be on the pitch for 2 turns each time, because they're going to be scoring extra. So yeah, I don't think we're going to see a lot of armor unless it's like 4th, 5th skill, when you've already got someone who's just pro. I like that. So feedback from the community. We've had a lot of honest posts on the Blood Bowl community recently. Some of them have been serious, some of them have not been serious, around about, actually, I like this change, I don't like this change. I mean, have you seen anything out there, guys, that's trending really positively or negatively when it comes to the 2020 rule set?
Only to the outrage. It's been a bit of a mess. I've had some genuine like accounts from people who normally had no idea what Blood Bowl is, who now have been like, "Oh, that Blood Bowl," like, showing a bit of interest, which is good. I've recruited one friend into it.
Yeah, which was cool
to get their team sorted. But yeah, a few others have shown interest.
We just found out that Sam's got 6 brothers that he's never told us about, that we could trick in to play in Blood Bowl.
Not quite 6, but yeah, I mean, the youngest one, my youngest brother Daniel, he's always shown a bit of an interest, but getting him to start is difficult. So
it's the perfect lockdown hobby.
Yeah, exactly.
Miniatures.
He plays guitar and that, so he's well into sort of music and stuff. But if I can recruit you, Ben, to enable him,
my services are expensive for Samuel.
Just send some like mysterious 3D prints and just trick him into that. Well, you've already got half a team, so you might as well finish it off now. This is a cool rat ogre. What do I use this with?
Now we're talking.
That's wicked. But yeah, Ben, you're right. The outrage, and it's not a specific outrage. I think it's mostly leaning towards 2 elements, which is Games Workshop are changing things, and there's a lot of the community that doesn't feel like Games Workshop has the right to change things because they didn't finish the last iteration, which is the second point that we're seeing from an outrage point of view, which is there are lots of coaches who really love Amazon, Slan, Norse, Chaos Dwarf, Khemri, Vamps, and it's like they're like feeling dejected and just switched off. And the first bit where it's an unfinished edition, that is how games work. That's especially how Games Workshop works. And I think that's just something that, I don't know whether it's because the Blood Bowl community is kind of split into 2, which is the guys who've always played it forever and the guys who went and played something else and have returned or are just joining and they don't know any different. So for all 3 of us, we've experienced Games Workshop's other games. So we're like, lol, Space Marine Codex number 7, and it's happening. It happened in Warhammer. Like High Elves got a book every edition, and it's like Goblins got like 3 because they were wicked, and it's just about a popularity contest.
Exactly, yeah. I think Draconians went like 3 editions without a book.
Oh well, yeah, well. Games Workshop clearly hates Bretonians, because they got a bit of seppuku there. They're gone, and that's another thing, is that that's it. I mean, Ben, am I right here? Is that the kind of outrage that we're seeing?
Yeah, I am seeing that. I think it's you kind of or sort of a response to that. You mentioned before where you said you had like one normal team
Yeah.
ready for YouTube, and I understand that not everyone's in the same luxury position that we are, where we can play so many wacky teams and like scenarios, which we have a lot of fun with. But maybe I think we actually discussed this on an episode about four episodes or 5 episodes ago. But it's just about like maybe, asking your league commissioner to introduce new things that the game might not have that you want, just to play the game that you want to play. Maybe. If it's lacking, then maybe look into expanding it yourself.
I think this is something that Games Workshop are actually really good at doing. I think there's a lot of people who are looking at this from a competitive point of view, of like, you're changing, you're bringing variability, and Games Workshop have historically made games for you to play at home with your friends, with the exception of Underworlds. I don't think they have. And that Kill Team Arena, they have never really made a competitive game. They have made a narrative game that has a competition element to it, and I think Blood Bowl.
They've been slowly trying to get into that market, though.
Yeah, and that goes into T Sports, which is something I'm hecka excited about. Like T Sports is just something that I think we can grow as a community, and stuff like Blood Bowl, where there is a tight rule set, was very good for it. Now the rule set got rejigged, and it may not be as tight because it's there's a lot of unknown variables. I don't know. It just feels normal, and I guess those who've just played Blood Bowl with the stuff they've loved in a pretty safe environment for like 12 years, I think it makes a lot of sense that there's a lot of people upset about it, because they're like, well, you just changed stuff without fleshing everything out, and now we don't know if this is going to be balanced or not, because it was perfectly good how it was, and that is a totally justifiable angle to take, and I feel bad that there's a lot of negativity around that, because I understand. Like, I mean, Ben, we had this giant idea all like set up and started working on, and then all of a sudden everything for that is gone. Fortunately, we hadn't really got that far along. It was just an idea to make a giant table and a giant game with a bunch of giant players. Like, it was going to be absolutely wicked, but now it's like, now we switch back to normal. And you said this, like, we played crazy teams. I mean, Sam's got, he's got a corn team. Ben, you've got at least a couple of silly teams. I've got a bunch of silly
teams than actual teams. Yeah,
I've got the actual teams. They're just not painted. I mean, Sam, how are you feeling about not being able to run corn again, given that you are technically a corn champion?
I was not too bad actually. I was planning on retiring them after Tombstone anyway.
One and done.
Pretty much, yeah. I only took them to Tombstone because it was like I needed a sort of chaos or undead themed team, and I had some old demon bits lying around, and I thought, yeah, sure, I'll cobble the corn together, and I really enjoyed them, but because they're not part of a normal team lineup. I was resigned to the fact I'd never really get to play them again anyway, even back then.
And you know what? I think that's another great sweet spot about Blood Bowl is you can do a one-off. Like, it's really unusual for miniatures games to just paint a team for an event. And we are just the worst enablers here at the Bonehead Podcast for that. It's like, and this event's going to be mixed teams. And then everyone's like, oh, what a great excuse to paint mixed team. This is great. You're never going to use that team again. Ben, you went all out and ridiculous. I just made that lovely werewolf, the were team. And, it was a case of, I'm probably only going to use this a couple of times. I think you're bringing it on Saturday?
I'm bringing them Saturday.
Yeah, there you go. And we got to use them on YouTube.
I was going to do something new, but I thought, I might as well use them a second time.
Well, that's it. And I think that's a really good segue onto our next point, which is there's a lot of extra stuff to say goodbye to in 2020. Mm-hmm. All the variants are kind of going to need a bit of a reset. All of the teams, all of the 90 Secret League bits, all going to have a hiatus. There's a couple of great people in the community who have put together PDFs with all the stats for all these special teams, which is wicked. So next year when we do our tournaments, we're going to try and up it to 6 next year to get a couple of normal 2020 tournaments in extra, because I think this is going to be the year for it. But when we do the sillies, actually there are stats there that, so we can still do the sillies. So I don't know if it's going to be the year for it or not, but at least someone's gone to the effort of putting the stats together. There's an awful lot to say goodbye to in 2020, which is why I'm so excited about Mega Bowl this weekend, because we recklessly piled it all in. So it's funny.
It's going to be carnage.
We got Simon from our club is coming. He's been to the World Cups and everything, and he's like, this is a very different experience for me for tournaments. He's built a team, and he's like, I have no idea how this is going to play. I was like,
what team was he running?
I think it is Lizardman and Wood Elf hybrid team, mixed team. I know, right? I know. He was like, yeah, I have no idea if this is going to play the way I just don't know how this is going to play. I'm like, Simon, that's the point. That's the point. You are going to run this team. You're going to come up against someone's Amazon Bretonian team, and you are playing 2 unique teams you've never played before, and you will never play again. This is all for the puzzle. There's no learning.
It's like doing. I've got to stop referencing card games, but it's like doing a draft. You suddenly have like a deck which you haven't used before, and you've got to make it work. You've
got to figure out what you're doing, what they're doing, and I don't know whether it's the comfort of you've got no opportunity to really learn how to win. I don't know whether it's that, where everyone's kind of on a pretty even footing. I mean, we saw this with Hangover Bowl, the Sevens event that you ran at our club. I mean, Sam, what did you end up? What did you run?
Wood Elf and Chaos.
Oh, see, that's cool. Have you ever run a Wood Elf Chaos team before, Sam?
Outside of BB2 on Steam. Nope.
Exactly, and it gives a great opportunity for that. And I'm looking at our tournament spread for next year, and Bonehead Bowl is mixed teams, and I just don't know whether it's going to be the right thing to do this year, because we're going to be only sort of 6 months into a new edition, and is it going to be too much for people to learn? Because
maybe
that's it. That's why I'm looking at next year, and I'm thinking, I don't know if this is the year for all the silliness. And
I still go with it still. No, I reckon go with it. People are going to have their legacy teams from last edition. They want to give a rollout on the new edition and try them out with. So if you've got a mixed team that you took to Mega Bowl this year, and then you want to try it next year with the new rules, you can do that.
All right, I'm sold.
Sam is more Bonehead Podcast than we are.
Yeah, the thing is, for me, is like we had club night yesterday where it's all 2020 rules, and it's like, what's this do? How does this work? And then we're going to go to this tournament where we're TOing, and it's sevens, mixed teams, special teams, secret league teams, and Blood Bowl 2016. I'm like, oh man, I really hope that this PDF is legit, because I don't want to learn a third Blood Bowl game in 1 year. And turns out none of this works the way it's supposed to work. So those are kind of the concerns that we're seeing out of the community. Is there anything for you guys that you actually really do like and are really excited by, and or have discovered that's better than you thought?
Yeah, for me, it's the concept of growth that this edition offers and represents, in the sense that that was not English, was it?
Yeah, it was freezing. Like off the pitch or off the pitch.
That was.
Yeah, that was.
You're hired, Ben.
Yeah, okay, so basically the idea that the game can expand in a much smoother way than it used to. So I said a couple of episodes ago, like, the keyword stuff with the star players is really cool, and the teams. That means that now you can bring something new in and everything just fits. Coming from like a software developer, it's like having like a class that just like works everywhere. It's just really neat. I think the where we've seen 2 brand new teams on release on the box is really exciting. I think we'll see some newer stuff.
We've had 4
real brand new stuff.
4 new teams this year.
Yeah.
Old World Alliance, Snotlings, Imperial Nobility, and Black Orcs. and an adjusted Necro team and an adjusted Underworld team. They're not afraid to go into new design space or slightly adjacent design space, you know.
And they said that on the video they'd released. They said about new stuff coming, like new teams,
and things like that. Yeah, I think you're right. And tick for me, very big tick there. Sam, what do you reckon?
I was just going to say, going on from what Ben said with the possible new teams and stuff, I think that the teams that we think we're going to lose, like Amazon and Norse, I think that we'll see a resurface. That they'll get given a new name and re-released, maybe maybe not in the new year, but certainly down the line.
I had a good chat with my opponent last night, Richard, and we're talking about things that may come to pass. And we're talking about Amazons and the fact that everyone's got dodge. In the Wood Elf Spike, there was talk about a Dryad team. What if actually what they bring in to kind of sidestep the Amazon kind of trope, which is maybe not the direction Games Workshop want to be because it's IP loose and not always tastefully done. If they drop an adjusted team that turns out to be a Dryad team, you know, that's mentioned in the Wood Elf Spike, and actually everyone having dodge on that team might make sense because they're kind of dodge sidesteppy kind of guys, and that turns out to be the team that replaces Amazon. You know, you kind of gone the kind of way that Nobility's done, which is we've got a new team, but it ticks a lot of the old boxes of the old team that was, but actually it's got its new identity. I think you're right, Sam. I think there's a very good chance that those teams we don't see right now will come either adjusted or in a new version, like with the Nobility.
Yeah, so certainly with Norse, I think they'll lean more into sort of Chaos Marauder territory, give them some specific Chaos Tribe name or something.
I mean, Norse, all the good bits of Norse are kind of... It's kind of just an amalgamation team. It's like the Old World Alliance of teams. It was like the original Old World Alliance. You know, you got
It sort of feels like they had loads of ideas left, and they put them all into one.
And this guy's angry, and this guy's slightly angrier, and this guy's slightly angry but has Dauntless, and this guy's got pass. What? Why has that guy got pass? Norse have just got too many positionals. Although, I'm going to say this for me and for Ollie Current, we do need the Yeti back because the Yeti is just wicked. Although Claw got nerfed, the Yeti is still wicked, and I would like to see that positional. But of Norse, that's the only thing I think that the game is missing out because of.
Not the Ulferners.
Oh, I do like the Ulfs though. Yeah, you're right. They're just fast Black Orcs now, though. You know,
everything is comparable to a Black Orc now. Is that right?
But basically, although Black Orcs can't take Frenzy because they've got Grab. And I tell you what, I was playing my game last night and I was like, I really want Frenzy on these guys, and they can't blooming take it.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
It's very sad. So yeah, all for artists. I don't know. I think there's some cool ways they can go with Norse. There's some cool ways they can go with Amazons. There's cool stuff they can do with Chaos Dwarves and with Khemri. And vampires especially. Please give us a big guy. Please give us a Vargulf. Just create a plastic Vargulf kit for Blood Bowl and bring in a star player Vargulf that can be taken by Undead and put them both in the box. Games Workshop, £25 to £30. Every Undead player is going to buy it. Every Necro player is going to buy it. Every Vampire player is going to buy it. And every AOS Madman is going to buy it. So, yeah, if you'd like some money, Games Workshop, I suggest that. Because, you know, big guys are great. Big Vampire big guys are great. And Undead players, there are many of them. We saw that on the Whip Wednesday. There's like 2 or 3 Undead teams being painted up at the moment. And Necro's about to land.
Speculation thought.
Go.
Like the same the Vargulf. I can imagine them doing a ghoul team. They do like their fleshy quarters, you know? Revitalize the vampires into vampires and ghouls. And
maybe that will be the Dodge team.
Yeah, that could be.
Yes.
That would be wicked. Yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing is now they've done a Snotling team. They could just individually single out player types or part of the background that they really like. You know, a Hobgoblin team. Let's have a Hobgoblin team. I mean, was it Bonehead Bowl, Summer Sorcery, or Lockdown Bowl where there was a Hobgoblin team that just ran rampant? It might have been Lockdown Bowl. But that was wicked. It's just like it. It's just so cool. Like there's so much lore in there, and Hobgoblin team. Oh, come on. Some stabby guys, some stuff. Oh, that would be wicked. And it's in the lore, and but it doesn't take away from the fact that there are some teams that are missing, but they've been kind of missing for a few years, and it's they need to come out and say one way or the other. I think is the key.
Yeah, I don't they like to limit their options though.
Even if they just, when the edition releases, say we're not going to do Teams of Legend for teams we don't make, because we don't make them, but we're going to look at them in the future and re-add them.
Yeah.
At least everyone would be able to flame without speculation.
I think people will flame either way, no matter what they do. They'll be upset.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on the Kislev team, to be honest.
Oh, you see, I was there pitching for Plastic Slan, and I just don't know if that's going to happen. Although, complete non sequitur here. This is going to sound terrible as well. I know a guy who knows a guy. Okay, and that guy says squats are coming. A squat army is coming.
They teased it in 40k. They'd had a teaser on the Warhammer community.
And yeah, apparently this guy knows a guy who works at White Dwarf. And he's like, yeah, squats are coming. And if they're going to bring squats back, they've brought back Zotes. Why can't they bring back Slan? Get rid of this Kislev nonsense. Frog's gonna frog, yo. And it just makes a lot of sense. And you don't have to make him any good. You don't even have to boost it from how Leap is right now. Just make him 10k cheaper and let people jump to their death. At least, you know.
I always saw Slan as part of Lizardman, as they were in Fantasy. They were part of the Lizardman faction, weren't they?
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah.
It was weird to me that they had a whole separate team for them.
Well, it's because the Slan used to be like an actual race in Warhammer Fantasy role. I don't know if it was roleplay, but in 2nd edition and 3rd edition, you can have units of Slan, and there was Slan warriors rather than Slan mages.
Oh wow! Because I know in later lore it was there was the Slan mage priests, weren't they? They were the leaders of the Lizardmen.
Yeah, they got there. They were the navigators of Slan, basically the bloated guys. It's cool. Yeah, I'm. Anyway, Slan would be wicked. There's a lot of stuff they could do, but I think the people just want to know what the deal is now, and I don't. As we get closer, I'm not sure we're going to get this team of legend. And I think it's probably from what Sam just said there about the fact that they're really driving into new space, and then I know that you're there as well, Ben. That if we don't see Team of Legend, I think we can pretty much draw a line under 2016, and then you are really playing a new Blood Bowl rather than the old world, and that's interesting. That's interesting. So other good bits for the game. I love the new teams. I love Brawler as a skill. Naturally, that's good. I really like the SPP system. As we're playing games, we're seeing how that's going to work, and I really like the way that's going to develop. It gives the players much more control over what you do with your guys. And as a league commissioner, I like that. It's going to take a bit of work to teach some of the more casual players how it works, because historically it was roll the dice. Now choose this cool thing. Now it's like brew up your team, or just choose the random skill and roll this dice anyway. It gives you more control. I love that. Passing, technically, if you want to play good Blood Bowl, you shouldn't pass ever.
I got a touchdown yesterday in Corn because I made a 6+ pass. Needed the 6.
Dude, I made a bat down with a Black Orc as well yesterday. It was cool. So
passing is a solid thing.
Yeah,
it's a solid tactic.
But as a competitive thing, you're rolling extra dice where you may not need to. So it's not optimal, but what it does do is it leads you to, generally speaking, pass with the guys who are supposed to pass, and that theme works for me. Mechanics works for me, and for new players, the thrower needs to throw the ball. Yeah, that's what they do. Before it was the thrower throws the ball ever so slightly better than that man there who punches things. It's like, what? And this catcher, he's great at throwing. It's like, what? Sorry? Now it's kind of, yeah.
Sorry, so gutter runners used to be probably, is it better or on par with Skaven throwers?
I think, generally speaking, because rerolls weren't that expensive in Skaven, they were better throwers. I played many lists where I didn't bother taking a thrower, and I just used Gutter 4 as the picker thrower, because 2+ pickup, 9 squares of movement, and then a 2+ pass for 3 squares with a reroll for your team is just filth. Now you got 4 gutter runners and a guy that's got 7 squares of movement and a cheeky good pickup and a 2+ pass. So yeah, with an integral reroll. Yeah, it's absolutely blooming lovely. But played Wood Elves last night. Played against Wood Elves last night. That's my second game against Wood Elves in 2020. Turns out they're still good. War Dancers still good. But doing the SPPs and stuff, yeah, that thrower on the Wood Elf team I played last night got 3 SPP. Straight off the bat, he could take a random passing stat, and he's already going to be much better. Or he could just wait for 1 touchdown and then pick a skill, and so they're going to progress real quick, and those skills are absolutely going to be better. Taking accurate is going to be absolutely bomb on any 2+ or 3+ passer. Like 2+ pass with pass is like it's basically a 4-square handoff, unless you roll lots of 1s, which luckily my opponent did in the first turn. Double 1 a pickup.
No.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good stuff. Before we move on to the next bit, is there anything else you guys want to touch on what you've learned from Blood Bowl 2020 for the first 2 months of it not being out yet?
My last point is likes the armbar skill, dislikes the dwarf team don't have it. Instead of block or tackle, sorry, instead of tackle.
Definitely a missed opportunity to reset a roster there. But I don't know. Having played dwarves, I thought they were more fun in this edition. Okay. But that may have been because I got to play against goblins, and that was just wicked fun. And if you watch the YouTube video, I don't think I played like a dwarf. I think I played like Skaven because I side caged.
An honourable dwarf.
I don't know if I was just playing suboptimally. I did only win 1-0, so I don't know if that's good or not against goblins. But yeah, anything for you, Sam?
Nothing I could think of. I think there should be an honourable mention for the troll in our game, who nearly got away.
Nearly the touchdown was just awesome. That was really good. Trolls overperformed. Ben, you'd be really pleased. You would be so proud.
They don't overperform. They perform as they should because they're fantastic.
The amount of 4+ really stupids that I made was great.
They were better on their own than they were when they had goblins by them.
Yeah. Crazy.
Both of them.
The pick up, the go for it, they were just fantastic.
Didn't let you down at all. It was wicked. Yeah, trolls, still trolls in this edition.
I heard troll touchdown and just beautiful.
Well, we are going to be talking about trolls in just a moment because we're going to be talking about the Black Orc team. So we'll take a quick bake, maybe. I don't know. We've got time to cook something, and we'll be right back. And we're back, and it is time to talk about Black Orcs. So we've had an opportunity to play several games with them, and we've had an opportunity to play against them, and now we kind of get a better idea of what the skills are, how the team plays, and what development looks like for them, and how they kind of some lists in tournaments. Actually, we're in a much better position to talk through Black Orcs. I'm not ready to go and do a Bonehead Basics just yet. I think it's going to be a little while. I intend to run them in League, and I think Ben's going to run Nobility in the League, so that give us a couple of months. We'll have 5-6 games between us for the team and how it develops, so that'll be cool. We'll go through it kind of when we've had proper time and we've got the proper miniatures. So Black Orc team, so this is the new team that's coming in the Blood Bowl 2020 box set. The Black Orc team rundown is 0-1 trained troll, 115k, standard troll stats, so that's movement 4, strength 5, passing 5+, agility 5+, armor 10+, always hungry. This is a trained troll, so it's loner 3+, mighty blow, projectile vomit, really stupid, regeneration, throw teammate, and that is your troll. So a little bit better than your average troll with loner 3+. 0-6 Black Orcs, these are the primary players on the team, I think. 90k each, movement 4, strength 4, agility 4+, passing 5+, armor 10+ as well, brawler and grab, which is a really great combination. of skills. And then you've got 0 to 12 Goblin Bruisers. So these are your linemen. They're 45k, so expensive for goblins. Movement 6 standard, strength 2 standard, agility 3+, passing 4+, armor 8+, all standard for goblins. Dodge, right stuff, stunty, but they've also got thick skull. So guys, let's start right there. These goblins, Sam, you played against me. We got to play a game. It was a very good game. There was just troll action and big guys and goblins doing goblin-y things. That thick skull for these goblins, I think, was massively good. What do you reckon?
It came into play a couple of times, didn't it? It definitely saved a couple of your goblins. I think it's good value as well because thick skull is a strength upgrade, is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
so that would be 20k on a goblin.
No, that would be a 40k upgrade now because that would be a double, which is now 40k.
Of course, yeah. So 45k for one of your goblins, or if I were to stick thick skull on one of my goblins, he'd be 80k. It's a good trade-off, I think.
That is very fair. So from a stats point of view, I think someone online ran the numbers, and it's a normal player gets taken out 41% of the time after their armor's broken. Goblin Bruiser is 44%. Regular stunties was like 50-something% for the time. Yeah, 54, 56% of the time that goblin's gone. When they've got thick skull, which when you're stunty means they're only knocked out on an 8. So 7 is a stun, which is just massive because normally 7, 8 knockout and 9+ is still casualty. Mm-hmm. Hugely beneficial. Somehow still managed to get a Goblin Bruiser knocked out, but better than being knocked out more regularly. It's just way better. You're basically, what is that? How many chances to roll an 8 on 2d6? That's got to be 5 rolls, right? Don't know. Anyway, rolling a 7 way more common than rolling an 8. So not having that on the 7 basically reduces it by half, the opportunity of your goblin being knocked out, which keeps him on the pitch. As for doing goblin-y things, I think these guys are pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, so they're obviously they don't have any secret weapons like goblins do.
That is very true.
There's only one opportunity for a throw teammate, but compare them to the old school orcs, they're far better than the goblin that comes with the old school orcs.
Absolutely. I mean, Ben, you've had a lot of practice with goblins as well. Moving the ball with goblins, it's actually not terrible, is it?
No, I genuinely think, okay, goblins are in the teams where I've played goblins, be it a stupid mixed team or an actual goblin team or an orc team or what's the Chaos Pact. Goblins are genuinely key when you don't have to use them for everything. They're good players. They're good. It's the same way that in like Skink is a really good player. They're pretty easy to beat down, but the goblins sacrifice a bit of speed to get the durability, like you were saying. So it's like, they're solid. And I imagine, just to back up the Black Orcs, I haven't had too much experience, so I'm staying pretty quiet in this segment, but I do imagine they really help back up your control game with the Black Orc team.
You are not far off, but I think you called it out there. Goblins are great. They sacrifice their strength for agility. In the regards to stunty, is it's double-edged, isn't it? On the one hand, you get to dodge. You don't modify your dodges basically ever. It's 3+ forever. On the downside, you knocked out on a 7. Not with thick skull
as well, but.
No, you can throw just as well. You just get intercepted one easier. So that's good.
I thought it was -1 to throwing, wasn't it?
It did used to be. That got better.
Oh,
that got better.
That's actually a massive change.
Yeah. So they're passing normally, but you get but anyone trying to intercept it actually gets +1 because the idea is they're just lower to the ground. Fair enough.
I think.
Sorry, Sam.
You carry on, Sam.
Did they integrate the stunty -1 to pass into the passing stat for the stunty players?
You would think so, but their passing is better than Dark Elves, so I don't know. It's not better than Dark Elves. It is exactly the same as Dark Elves, which might actually hurt more.
What's that?
Yeah. So, but yeah, you're right. But the good thing is with these guys, that thick skull takes away kind of the negative effect of stunty.
Yeah.
normal players are knocked out 8-9, casualty 10+. The difference is you get casualty badly hurt on a 9, and quite frankly that's fine, because I can't roll knockout returns to save my life, and that's once a guy's knocked out, as far as my team's concerned, they're done in. So I'm kind of even. So basically they're stunty without the downside of stunty, which means you're dodging 3+ invulnerably, and more agility 3+ to pick up the ball is absolutely fine. Passing 4+ is it's medium in this world. You don't really want to be passing, but you can for a stretch play. I like it. But the real big boys are these Black Orcs, and having 6 of them is massive. So Sam ran goblins against me. You had Chainsaw Fanatic, 2 trolls. That was your kind of...
Yeah.
That was your layout, wasn't it? Your weapons loadout for your goblin roster. And I'll tell you what, I was a bit worried about taking those trolls, because I thought, well, the advantage of the Black Orc team is you get 6 guys who are stronger than everybody on your opponent's team. And then Sam's like, this guy's strength 7, these 2 are strength 5, and they've all got mighty bow. And I was like, it felt kind of evenly matched strength-wise when it came to the big guys, though, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Fanatic did what Fanatics do. He danced around one of your players all game.
He literally did. What happened to the Fanatic at the end? Did I?
You took an uphill block and put him to the ground, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fair. That's what you're supposed to do. The chainsaw. Now, I focused your goblins with the chainsaw because they're easier to put out of action with the +3. And I figured the fewer goblins you've got, the harder it is for you to maneuver. I mean, the Black Orcs are scary on your team, but they're movement 4, agility 4+. They're without the goblins to support them. I think they are in a bit of a problem,
Yeah, it's not as bad as Saurus, but you are very right. So actually, as far as anti-Black Orc team strategy goes, movement 4, like Sam says, agility 4+, they're not getting around a lot. And in my game last night with them, my Black Orcs were movement 5 because I rushed all the time, because I had to keep up with goblins and to keep them positioning. And if they get knocked down, moving 1 square is not very far at all. So you can kind of disengage from the Black Orcs in the similar way you would with mummies. Edge 4+ will still work, but taking a dodge on a 4+ feels really bad. That's can only really do that if I've got a reroll in the pocket, and even then it's likely to fail. So Sam's tactic of, right, I've got a chainsaw here, chainsaw against an AV 8+ goblin, this is easy, this is 5+, and it's a really solid strategy, especially because 6 of your guys on the team are going to be Black Orcs, and once the team gets rolling with a trained troll as well, you're going to have that skink situation where I've got 4 dudes that can do stuff and the rest is just muscle. It's really weird. This is like the most mid-range of teams.
I mean, when it got going, it was scary. Trying to peel a cage that has a Black Orc on every corner is tough, So
yeah.
From your point of view, you only need to get 1 goblin to survive, because as long as you can cage him with those Black Orcs, I'm not moving it.
Which is exactly what I did against Wood Elves last night. So I managed to slowly brew up this cage. I had a Black Orc in every corner, which left me 2 other Black Orcs to just... I had one leading the charge, who was not part of the cage. He blitzed, created a hole, the cage followed through, and the other one was just got left behind in classic mummy style and just got gang brutalized by Wood Elves, which was peculiar. To see that happen on one side of the pitch, but I was fine with it because I had 5 Black Orcs and 3 goblins just just unstoppably brawling their way towards the end zone, and I ended up winning against Wood Elves 2-1.
Wow.
I was really pleased with this. I was like, right, this guy's playing Wood Elves. I want to run the Black Orcs. Like, to heck with it. Like, it's fine. Let's see how bad this is. And I won. I kicked to them, managed to blitz. Where they went with the catcher, I managed to blitz with the Black Orc in the end with some supports and just destroyed the catcher, stole the ball, and just ran it up the pitch. It took some go for it because the Black Orcs are slow, so you kind of... Your launch pad cage, it takes a while to get up the pitch. Like, it really was quite slow. And then I ended up having to take the double go for it into the end zone for the touchdown. Got it. They then scored on a blitz. Blitz is still good, by the way, guys, especially with Wood Elves. He scored on the blitz and then went into the second half, kicked. I received. It was 1-1, and I just was like, right, this time I'm going to cage in my backfield and just Death Star it up, and it worked a treat. Of course, surfing and fouling the wall dancers was very useful. That was good. And you got goblins. You got one goblin in reserve. It's fine to foul with a goblin, even though they're 45k. I was like, dude, if a goblin gets sent off and I take this wall dancer out, I'm just having a great time. Ended up taking a 1-die blitz to surf him, which was so satisfying. And he was casualtied out. But yeah.
Cool. That's a great me down, isn't it? Goblin for a war dancer,
Any time.
Being on the receiving end of that cage, that orc cage, is scary. There's the only hope you really got once the cage is formed, from the point of view of the team that I was playing anyway.
Yeah.
Your only hope is to speed bump it. You've got to try and position players in such a way that you can't, with the turns you've got left, you don't have the time to get to the end zone.
Yeah. Now, yes, all right, we played against goblins, so you're thinking, well, goblins are very fragile and very vulnerable, but strength 4 against strength 2, without any assists, is exactly the same as strength 4 against strength 3, and these guys have got dodge. So it was 2-die blocking, and it was dodge to keep them alive. So I feel like it's kind of a fair approximation of going up against linemen and things like that. But Brawler was amazing. I just absolutely loved that skill. Like, you roll in 2 dice most of the time, and it's push both down. Just re-roll the both down. You might get a pow, you might get a skull. Doesn't matter. You can take the push, and by the way, you've got grab. So that push is really good because you just hand it off to the next Black Orc. Like, you don't need blitzes. You just pass the dude along the line and just destroy people. It's
the more you
horrible.
talk about this team, the more I actually just think, I really like what this team represents. It's just like, it's such a strong control game. You have so much just solidness in this team. Like, everything just works from what you're describing. Like, you have your 6 strength 4 guys that can get a free reroll on their both down, that can then move players however they want, with some reliable stunty guys who can dodge where they want, and you can also throw a teammate if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I didn't take the troll.
Nonsense.
Well, to start, I thought it was. You can take a troll, but then you've either got to take 2 rerolls, and I didn't want to risk that, or lose a couple of Black Orcs. And I was like, I want to see how Black Orcs play. I know how trolls play. Sam showed me very well how trolls play. Like, that's
how trolls can play.
I was ridiculous. I was like, oh my gosh, this troll is going to equalize. I just had to spam dudes at the end, and it was just rush. But that troll breakaway was really hard for me to catch up to with those Black Orcs. Movement 4.
It took you had to get goblins up there because the Black Orcs were never going to make it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And goblins getting in the way of a troll. It was interesting. I had to tag the troll on the back side so that it had to take the block and lose a square of movement, or take the 5+ dodge. It was that was cunning. That was cunning. I got away with that one.
Yeah, I mean, the choice you left me where I could have blitzed with the troll, but he'd have had to make a 4+ really stupid.
Yeah.
I could have blitzed your goblin away and made a rush into the end zone.
Yeah.
Or a goblin nearby, so I could have dodged out to the troll to give him the 2+ stupid, or use the goblin to dodge out and blitz your goblin away on the 2 die. Sadly, the goblin is the one that screwed it up by failing his dodge with a reroll.
That's a very good segue. Last night, I failed the dodge reroll with goblins 3 times in one half. My goblins just could not dodge away. And I don't know whether it's just because I was playing as Wood Elves, and literally they were just disengaging. It was like, right, come on, let's just see a couple of ones here. My goblins, though, were like, we're going to take this stunty dodge, roll a 2, and reroll into a 2. I was like, oh, for goodness sake. Every time. So yeah, 3+ with a reroll on dodge is not always invincible.
From what you were saying, with the tagging and catching up to the troll, I think from what you're saying is, like, if you were to compare this team, because we have done a lot of comparisons, a lot of people have compared them to Lizard Men, obviously. You've got a team of 6 strength 4 guys with a bunch of stunty backup. from what it sounds like, is it's like if this team was like, or sorry, if lizards were like a muscle car, this is like an 18-wheeler truck. In the sense that it's like
It's very orky in that regard.
Your muscle car is strong and powerful, it'll break through, and then it can speed away if it needs to.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just a real meat like brick that will just plow through everything. But as soon as it needs to catch up to something, it doesn't have a chance.
Ultimately, this team has the same weakness as a Lizardman team, and just not as much of the strengths. The big guy
I think it doesn't have the strengths.
It doesn't have
not
the
think
strengths.
If you were to do a Black Orc team versus a Lizardman team, what do you think would have the upper edge?
Oh, it would be a 3-0 drumming via
You
lizards.
reckon?
Yeah.
I'd put lizards to win, but not by 3-0. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, man. I mean, right, Saurus movement 6, Black Orcs movement 4. The biggest issue there is you knock a Black Orc down, he's going to be fine. He's got armor 10 plus, like it's not a problem. But he's moving 1 square when he stands up. Saurus, 3 squares when they stand up. They've got the same armor. They're just going to be able to redeploy and keep up with the cage. Skinks are just awesome stunties. Goblins are good. They're great. But Skink's got the same armor. They're just 2 squares faster.
Yeah, well, the Lizardman team, I can see it with the Lizardman. Their cage works a bit differently, doesn't it? You roll the cage forward and forward a bit until you're halfway into the opponent's half. Then the Skink just bursts out at the front of the cage and he's gone. No one's catching him. Certainly not the movement 4 Black Orcs anyway.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was doing the drive in the second half with my little Death Star, and I had to put a dice 6 squares away from the end zone because I was just like, I need to make sure I move this up, and it was 1-2 squares a turn, and it was just now grab massively helps with that. Like grab really does. Cage was moving, and because of your strength, normally you don't want to you don't want to leave any corners of your cage in contact with an enemy. It was all right, but then again, I was playing against Wood Elves, so when you get into close quarters, like the advantage was massively on me. Ben, one thing I would say is that starting rosters, I think Black Orcs will be a lot closer to Lizards. Lizards don't have a bench; they have 2 rerolls, generally speaking, and they will be in the same situation. They won't have the Crocs, so it will be.
You won't have the 6 lots of brawlers either.
No,
which really helps.
And that's it. Brawler grab means that you've got the slight edge and you've got the positioning edge. So yeah, I think it will be close. It will probably be closer, but the Lizards they've got that explosiveness, and that is one thing for me that I will pick up about this team is it's missing a little bit of something. It's missing a catcher. Just whether it's just that little bit of speed, like there's just one positional missing from this team. And I don't think it needs it. I just think it would absolutely hum. I mean, the Lizards got it with the Chameleon. That's something else. That's something else to do a thing.
It's difficult to fit that into the Black Orc theme.
Hugely.
Thinking what they could add to.
You'd think add more strength. This team does not need more strength. And I just don't think there's anything they could. Even a few Snotlings would have been really interesting. Just as something like a slightly alternative. Now, I think
thinking like a Hobgoblin runner. It fits thematically, I think, with the Black Orcs.
Yeah, it just misses that little bit of speed in 0 to 2 positional. However, the team works brilliantly. After playing a few games with them, I'm thinking, Skaven wise, I will love playing against this team. I think I'm just going to sell my line rats up the river, let the Black Orcs have their way with them, keep the rest of my team away, and I'm just going one-on-one at that point with goblins. And I'm playing... Yeah, you leave 3 line rats to take care of the Black Orcs. At that point, I'm playing 8-man Skaven team against 5 goblins. And Skaven win that every time. And I think the high agility teams are gonna be able to have their way with Black Orcs. That said, I did pull off the win against Wood Elves, and
like Sam said, he said about having it as like the roadblock defense, which high agility teams tend to be pretty good at. Just running away and not letting them get any blocks.
So at first, I deployed 5 or 6 Black Orcs across the line of scrimmage. I was like, right, I'm going to deploy real hard, have my 5 goblins back. I tried a different setup in the like the following up, where I had 3 Black Orcs on the line, and then I just kind of had just like 4 squares back or something, just the rest of my Black Orcs with some goblins, like at layered defense. Like I had the strength, so they had to gang up and take those Black Orcs. That armor's fine, they're going to stand up and base a couple of people. And my movement 4 guys to play linebacker in the backfield was great. That's what allowed me to take a 2-die blitz, a 3-die blitz on the catcher, is because I had the Black Orc available and I had a Goblin available to corner. Goblin on the corner, Black Orc wanders in, another Goblin's basing, so you get 3 dice and a 3-die blitz, and there was nowhere to go. I think using this as kind of like a 2-tier defense, not going all in, you're gonna have that little danger zone of 9 squares in the backfield where you're gonna get blitzed by a strength 4 Black Orc and be supported by 2 goblins. That's gonna stop and slow anything. And yeah, using those Black Orcs as linebackers is gonna be a solid tactic. Oh man, can you imagine like punching through the main line to then come up against another 3 chaos blockers? Yeah, it's really cool. And when that troll arrives on that team, the troll doesn't need to do anything. The troll is just there on the line, as well as another strength piece. And skills wise, brawler on the troll, I wouldn't worry with guard. I would go brawler on that troll just to make it a little bit more reliable, because brawler's wicked.
Yeah, and like we were saying with the projectile vomit, it's quite nice to have on the trolls because they can stand around and kind of do nothing with not that much risk.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I'd agree with brawler because it just lets you do at least a block. And
it works great if you got a block. Obviously, if you've got a chance at a double, then great. But actually, taking brawler early is just going to make your troll better. Skills wise, this is really interesting. So there are 3 main skills for Black Orcs that you think immediately. Block, you've got brawler, guard, but generally speaking, you're not standing next to other Black Orcs with the Black Orcs. As if you bunch 2 or 3 Black Orcs together, it's really easy to isolate, and you're already getting 2-die blocks, and you need so much to get that 3 dice that it really achieves nothing. I like guard to support your defense against the goblins, but having a cage of 4 Black Orcs is pretty good defense. I did sort of mention Mighty Blow as an option, and I tell you what, I played against Sam's goblin team and I played against the Wood Elf team, and I had no problem putting guys on the ground, but they just got up and wandered off. And I really am starting to think that Mighty Blow, guard gives you a good control game. These guys have already got good control game with grab and brawler. Block is good for consistency. They've already got that, and as a defensive skill, they've already got that in strength 4. I think Mighty Blow turns this team into a real slaughterfest.
Yeah, I think at 1200 TV, this team's going to be a nightmare.
It's just going to be ugly. It's going to be really ugly, and you're going to fear the team. You can win the team, but it is going to cost you players. I think that's kind of where this team's going to come in. Like, you can play a good orc team and you're going to be punished. You can play a good dwarf team and you're going to be punished. You're going to play a black orc team. You've got an advantage speed wise, but it's going to be a brawl.
Yeah.
Sorry. Does brawler work on the defense?
No, it doesn't.
It's only on your block.
But you've got strength 4.
Yeah.
So it was really funny. I was playing against Wood Elves. They were getting a 2-die block on me, but 1 Black Orc was keeping 3 Wood Elves away from my cage. I'd already murdered a War Dancer and another guy, so 3 of the 9 players that were left on the pitch were just beating up this Black Orc about, a long pass away from where the actual action was, which meant my cage could just merry on wander in. And that's kind of like 3 players to knock down a Black Orc achieves nothing.
Good trade.
Yeah, it's a great trade. Like, you're right, now roll a 10 plus. It's fine.
You were saying earlier, Ben, about how you'd like to face this team with your Skaven. Would that change if this team all had Mighty Blow?
Oh god, it'd be awful.
Because they would chew through your line rats in no time, I think. And then you risk losing your gutter runners.
That's it. With Skaven, you've got 4 line run. You've got 4 line rats. 3 of them go on the line. 1 of them dies. The 3rd one goes on the line. That 2nd one dies. Now you're putting a blitzer or a thrower on the line. You're not doing it with a thrower anymore because the thrower got good. Now it's a blitzer, and you've only got 1 in reserve. And then your blitzer dies because he's still not that strong. Yeah, Black Orcs lining up against Skaven with Mighty Blow is just going to end teams because they're going to go into the second half with 7 players. And
you probably still win with the Skaven, but would it be worth it with the players that you'd have to rehire afterwards?
That's it. It's the cost factor. It's like I could win this 2-0, 2-1, but it's gonna hurt. And that's what this Black Orc team does. This Black Orc team is like the old school Oakland Raiders. Like the Oakland Raiders in the olden days, the players used to claim they had broken arms so they could play games with casts on. This is a genuine thing. Madden, when he was coaching, well, obviously it wasn't confirmed that they were claiming they had broken arms or arm injuries, but they all had like arm casts. And I mean, this is like from like the 80s. I think that is a massive part of what inspired Blood Bowl, is that these Oakland Raiders guys, who were not opposed to playing dirty and playing brutally, had club arms. And like, I'm looking at this team and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be the Madden of Blood Bowl here. I'm gonna win some games, I'm gonna lose some games, I'm gonna hurt stuff. And I don't know if it's because I've been playing Skaven for so many years that I now have this like, there's going to be a Criminal Minds Blood Bowl edition, and it's going to be me, and it's going to be me taking out what happened to my Skaven team on all of you guys in my league with the Black Orc team.
That explains the Auckland Raiders now.
Yeah, right. I guess the last thing I wanted to cover is Ben, from you looking at the roster, Sam from playing against roster. This team versus Orcs. Who wins? Who wins?
I was thinking about that. For me, looking at it, I think Orcs have the upper edge. And that's because they get 4 Black Orcs if they want to anyway.
Yeah.
And then
faster Black Orcs. They don't come with Brawler and Grab, but they're movement 5.
Yeah, but it's the strength 4 is the main thing, really.
Oh, hugely. Strength 4, armor 10 plus. I think Orcs are... yeah. What do you think, Sam?
I think Orcs win out as well. I played... was it Ben from Fobble?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, you did.
And he took the classic 4 Black Orcs, 4 Blitzers, and that was frightening.
Yeah, Ben Winterburn, he plays Orcs real good. And yeah, Orcs are tier 1. This team is solid tier 2, and this team reminds you why Orcs are tier 1. They may not be Wood Elves Orcs, they may not have got boosted like humans, and they may suffer with animosity, but that I don't think animosity is going to come up all that often. And quite frankly, that Orc is a power roster. Can you imagine this Black Orc team? But you drop 2 Black Orcs, you take 4 Orcs with block instead.
Yeah, with 2 extra movement. And
So I think all that means is that if we do have Bonehead Bowl and we do have mixed teams, I'm running a Black Orc team with
Black Orcs.
There you go.
10.
That's amazing.
10 Black Orcs control.
10 Black Orcs and a Goblin. I'll get that.
We'll give the Blitzer.
And a thrower, just to troll all those Orc players out there whoever said the thrower was no good. Yeah, I love it.
Can't wait to see that team.
That'd
be...
it's achievable as well. 900k on those 10 Black Orcs. You know, let's say it's a 1.1 roster and 2 rerolls, you know, maybe. And a couple of Goblins. 12 players, 2 rerolls. Chuck Leader on one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Murder Town.
Never picking up the ball, but that's fine.
What ball? 4+ is fine. As an ogre coach, let me tell you, agility 4+ is well, it's not great actually, but you can do it. You can make it work. So what we need to do now is get some extra games in with the nobility team. I think kind of harder to proxy that team. I think. I think
what are their positionals? You got the knights, bodyguards,
and the muggles. But even
we can try and make it work.
Even the actual miniatures look. There's not a lot of difference between them. So
it might not be too long till we have the box set anyway. So
it might be literally a couple of weeks, which is insanely exciting.
Yeah.
And you're going to paint up the nobility, Ben?
Sorry?
You're going to paint up the nobility when that box arrives?
yet as fast as my human hands can paint them up, because I really want to play them in the league. I think the models are ace. And yeah, I really want to fight them against Black Orcs, because out of the box, I don't know who wins with these two teams. They're both pretty solid tier 2. I think maybe the Black Orcs have the upper edge, to be honest, looking at them.
I think the human team... I don't know. I think Fend is massively going to help humans.
I guess, does that count to grab?
How
does that work with?
It doesn't count to
get pushed, but they can't follow.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, but you can use grab to keep them in base contact. Because I was thinking, you block them, Fend keeps you away. That means you just restricted the blitz. But actually, being able to grab means you can just. And this is something I was doing: is Black Orc space Black Orc space Black Orc. Going that way, using grab to chuck it in between both the Black Orcs. Meant
just
that
playing past the parcel with a goblin, basically.
It's not even past the parcel. It's just putting them in between two guys, and probably less effective against a goblin because they're 3+ dodging everywhere. But for an elf, that turns that 2+ dodge away into a 4+ dodge away, and they don't make that dodge. They got 2 Black Orcs. They can just knock them about, push away, push back in. It's just really brutal, picky in the middle style murder. I'm excited. Anyway, guys, anything else we want to talk about with Black Orcs before we wrap this up?
I think they're just that. I'm looking forward to seeing them. I'm looking forward to seeing coaches run them, and I'm particularly looking forward to seeing that mixed Black Orc team.
Oh, yeah,
that sounds spicy.
I'm looking forward to seeing better coaches than me pilot the Black Orcs, because
nonsense. You're a good coach.
Well, I'm all right. I get lucky, but I'm making some plays and I'm doing things, and I came home and I was like, hey Tiff, I beat Wood Elves with Black Orcs, and she was like, you look like that's good. I was like, yeah. Fiance points to you. That is good.
That look.
Let me explain. And then she fell asleep, and I think that's probably why she poisoned that chili today. It's like, I don't want to hear about why Wood Elves are OP. I don't want to know why you've just explained what OP means. But it's just Ben Winterburn. Excuse me, guys. He plays Orcs real well, and we're going to see some real top coaches really maximise this Orc team. And I think at that point, we've seen great coaches do great things with Khemri. Khemri, generally speaking, garbage compared to most other teams from a stats point of view. Black Orcs, garbage-ish compared to other teams from a stats point of view. I can see some coaches just dominating with Black Orcs. You get a few Mighty Blow on there to thin the numbers. You get a few Goblins with break tackle. Then you're 2+ dodging away. Get a little bit of sprint on to boost their movement up to 9. That's what this is missing. Stilty runners, something with just a little bit extra movement.
A squig, that'll be it.
Squig. Yeah. Well, we need a squig team. We need a squig team. We need a squig team. We need a ghoul team. We need a dryad team, and a tree man team, because Games Workshop's holding out for those trees for some reason.
We're going to see necromantic before a tree.
We genuinely are, and it's amazing. I just think that's amazing. Poor
those trees announced as well.
I think I was 8.
2004, I think.
Yeah. It was way before Lumineth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was way before the High Elves for Age of Sigmar, and they are old news now. So yeah, I don't know.
Bizarre to announce them like that and then just forget them.
I think they've actually forgotten. I think they thought they released them.
We've had this chat before, but when someone at work pesters you to do something little, and you're like, oh, right, that's it, reset the clock. I think every time we talk about the trees not being out yet, some guy's like, I'll get to it, and it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I think it's brilliant. Or it's just a mass delusion. It's just the 5G towers are making us imagine these trees.
That was
true.
That's the Mandela effect.
That's it, man. Lizard people did it, but not the jumping kind, which is a shame, because I want to see them on the Blood Bowl pitch again. Right, so let's wrap up that. Let's leave it with conspiracies and slan teams. And Sam, thank you so much for coming on, man. Thank you for the game. It was a great game. And
it's great to play, and it's great to be on as well. Thanks for having me again.
Always good to have you on. And BT, always fun to talk Blood Bowl nonsense with you, man. And
thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's always good.
Guys out there, thanks ever so much for listening. Please abuse us in the comments on YouTube and drop us personal messages to any kind of social media channel. And it's great to have you join us, and we'll be back again soon. Hey, 2 weeks time, what's that going to be? Middle of November. Pre-order's going to be up, guys. This is it. This is the build up. I'm very excited. So we will see you guys in a couple of weeks with an insane amount of excitement. So ta-ta for now.
Bye-bye.